Welcome back to the Childhood Cancer Perspective, and thank you all for continuing to stick with me in this journey with everything that I bring to you, both my own personal stories and the stories of others as well. I had several things that I wanted to talk about today, but one in particular is going to take precedence over all of it, and that has to do with an event that we were at this weekend where we witnessed something that I feel like is a true reason why we just cannot get traction like we need to. I want to preface it by saying that for the past couple of weeks, I've really been struggling mentally and emotionally with feeling like we're not doing enough, feeling like we're not reaching enough people, feeling like we're not making the impact that I feel would do justice to JC's legacy, feeling like we're not getting where we need to get in the time that we've done it or that we've been at it for so long. And that is a personal thing for me that I've been dealing with. But what I saw this weekend really brings that to a head. And it makes me believe that I'm right in my struggles. And we have to do something to fix this. We have to do something to change the perception of pediatric cancer. Now, I want to start off by saying that when JC was diagnosed, we literally had nobody. We didn't have anybody to talk to. We didn't have anybody to bounce ideas off of. We didn't have anybody to connect with, relate to. We didn't have podcasts like this. There was no books. There was no support groups. There was none of it. Everything we did on our own. Everything we found out, it was on our own research, our own time. Eventually, we came to find other people that we could talk to, find other people that we could relate to. But to start out, we had nothing. And as her journey progressed, support changed a lot. And the perception that we received or that we could understand the way people saw pediatric cancer became more and more clear. And that perception is that if I turn my eyes, if I avert my vision from a sick child, or I avert my vision from a gold ribbon, or if I avert my eyes from a booth at a farmer's market that talks about pediatric cancer, then it's not real. Then it doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. It'll never affect me. Here's the problem. We were not cancer parents until the day we were. Okay. I say that all the time, and I feel like I'm going to get it printed on a shirt and I'm going to sell them and I'm going to make millions. And if I do, I'll spread it around the community. But the reality of it is we were not. From the moment that all of JC's symptoms started, we had no idea where it was going to lead, no idea that it was going to lead us down the road of pediatric cancer, that we were going to be in the hospital for 12 days, for 50 days, for chemotherapies, for stem cell transplants, for all of this. We had no idea that that was something that we were going to be immersed in. We didn't understand that's what it was going to be. Okay. And I don't think anybody that's within this community thinks that a symptom, okay, whether it's a bloody nose or a bruise or a rash or a cough or constipation or whatever it may have you, that's going to be the precursor to a life of dealing with pediatric cancer, okay? But the reality in all of this is that for some of us, those symptoms lead to that. And like I've said before, it can be your child at any moment. There's no give in this. There's no discrimination. There's no black or white, left or right, up or down. There's none of that. It is your child could get cancer at any time based on a million different factors that we don't even understand truly. As a matter of fact, I asked a question on Facebook today, whether or not the gene that produces or causes you to have red hair could be linked in some way to a higher instance of cancer. Now, there's no evidence of that, but I asked the question because I'm always trying to figure it out. I'm always trying to understand because we just don't know. And that's the reason that I want to talk about what I want to talk about today. We were at a farmer's market this weekend for our organization, Battle Corn. And we were set up actually next to so you're set up next to different multiple places. We were set up next to a tent where they did face painting. That's all they were doing was face painting and balloon animals. Wonderful. Our daughters also do face painting at the farmer's market because it lets kids come in, have a good time, gives us an opportunity to talk to the parents. It works out. And so this year we were kind of almost in competition with this other booth in order to get people to come over and do face painting with us versus a professional face painter that was doing all sorts of things that, just we weren't at that level of doing. And the point that broke me the whole thing was not that somebody else was doing face painting and that we couldn't get them all to come to us. It wasn't that. It wasn't the donations going to them versus the donations coming to us. It was the fact that at one point there was a minimum of a dozen to 15 people, parents and their kids, in a line to get face painted by this other booth next to us. And to get in that line, they had to stand in front of our booth, okay? In front of our booth, it had bracelets, it had stickers, it had seed paper, it had chapsticks, it had flyers, it had information, donate links, all of that. And it had all of us there, 5 people, 6 people there to be able to talk to you about why we're at the farmers market, what this is, this booth that we represent, what is this organization. There's a big sign behind us, a banner that says Childhood Cancer Awareness. But I tell you that these parents avoided like the plague even looking at our booth, even looking in our direction. And it was really sad, but it was really eye-opening at the same time. Because for me, I was actually on a live broadcast at that point, and I said to the people that were in the live, I said, it takes a certain kind of person to stand in front of a pediatric cancer booth to get face painted by somebody in a booth next to you and completely ignore you, to look the other way. Now, I get it. You have kids. You think it can never happen to you. Why would I want to worry about it? It's rare, right? That word that we talk about all the time as being, is my opinion, I used to think that the word entitlement was the worst word in the English language because nobody's entitled to a damn thing. But I think it's rare. I think rare is the word that disgusts me the most because when you speak of pediatric cancer, it's only rare based on population. Population or comparison to adult cancers, it's rare in that sense, but rare in the fact that it affects hundreds of thousands of kids every single year, 47 kids a day, 1,800 are going to die every year, 1 in 5 are not going to survive. I mean, the numbers and the statistics go on and on and on. But to see people stand in front of you and basically ignore you because it's a dirty, nasty, horrible topic that you don't want to think is a real thing, it really is, like I said before, it's eye-opening. And it's saddening at the same time because, I look at it and say, okay, if we were at the farmer's market, we were not in this situation, we were just out walking around and we saw a booth that said childhood cancer awareness, would we stop? Would we stop and say hello? Would we stop and wonder what it is? The truth is, I don't know the answer to that question if we were not in this situation. However, I would like to believe that if we were standing in front of this booth and there were people there and there was opportunities to talk to people in your community, I would say, hi, how are you doing? Tell me about your organization. What do you guys do? Why are you here? Because you want to learn. You want to know. I'll be the first one to tell you that we don't stop at every single booth when we go to a farmer's market. But I mean, I'm also not looking for, braided dog collars and permanent jewelry. I mean, so if I don't need to stop there, I'm not going to. But we're about information. We're about teaching. We're about learning. We're about growing our community in the sense of support, not growing our community in the sense of more diagnoses, where it's about support. It's about people coming in and understanding that what we fight for every single day is better awareness, better funding, better research, better treatment options, all of that. And we can't do that if people continue to ignore us, if they continue to look the other way because it's easy. Because it means that you don't have to think about it. You don't have to be involved in it, which I think is a lot of the reason why we don't get a whole bunch of donations from corporate donors. Because I think, again, if a company doesn't have to align themselves with you, then they can say, we don't agree with it, or we don't understand it, we don't know it, we don't have to feel bad, we don't have to feel good, we don't have to feel any of that. But watching these people stand in front of us actually got me so frustrated because I wonder, I want to approach people in a way that doesn't scare them because I don't want you to be scared. If you're listening to this podcast right now and you have a child that does not have cancer, you've just stumbled upon this or you support us, or you're looking to learn more, I don't want to scare you into thinking that every little bruised headache or bloody nose means that your child has cancer. But I want you to understand that we didn't think that either. And I want you to understand that it could be your child any day simply based on the statistical reality of 47 kids every single day. That's enough to wake up anybody, I would think, or make you listen, make you learn, make you want to learn and know more, because the more you know, the better opportunity we have at snuffing this thing out. But if you just continue to ignore it, if you just continue to change the channel, if you just continue to silence us, the problem is only going to continue to get worse. The problem is only going to continue to grow within this country, within this community, and we're not going to be able to do anything about it. And when you look back, people that are going to be diagnosed, 47 people. Hell, we could have run into somebody yesterday that got diagnosed today and had no idea. We could have run into somebody yesterday been in the 100-foot vicinity of somebody yesterday that is getting that terrible news. And you look back and you wish you could look them in the eye and say, this is why we wanted you to listen. This is why we wanted you to understand. This is why we wanted you to stop, take a second, read the story, understand the story. There was also a mom and a daughter. And the daughter, I assume a teenager, was trying to read. We have a paper up, and it has our why, and it has a paragraph with just kind of an intro to the story about how we started. And the daughter was reading the story, and she was telling her mom, I'm reading the story, I'm trying to figure out what it is. And the mom was actively, I listened to her, I'm standing in front, I'm listening to her say, oh, I don't want to hear it, it's probably going to be sad, it's probably going to make me sad, I don't want to know, I can't do it, I don't want to hear it. Listen, we didn't want to hear it either. We didn't want to be a part of it either. We didn't want to get a phone call, be rushed to the hospital, have our daughter have 3 brain surgeries inside of 12 days, and send us home with a diagnosis of brain cancer. That's not what we wanted. But we were forced into this world. We were forced into this life. And then you tried to make the best of it. But making the best of it, part of that is getting people to understand, is getting people to listen, getting people to realize that, yeah, it's a crappy story. It's not something that we're excited about, okay? We don't want to jump up and down. But the more people that read it, the more people that understand it, the better chance we have of that number of 47 going down. But when you continue to stand next to an entire organization, entire family, a mother and a father that lost their daughter, 2 sisters that lost their baby sister, an aunt that lost her niece, a friend that loses a friend, you know what I'm saying? It's like when you watch all these people are standing here and have lost, and you're able to just ignore it and just look the other way. And no, do we have a big sign that says, our daughter passed away, stop here and listen to our story? No, but we have a big sign that says, childhood cancer awareness established for J.C. Rose Sunshine in 2020. Who's that? We had people that stopped and asked that question, but that's all it takes. And you may walk away and you may forget everything. You may walk away, put that business card in your pocket and throw it away when you get home. You may walk away and think, well, you know, it's sad, but that'll never happen to me. I'll never have to worry about that because it's so rare. And I will never in this community and never in that context, never say, I told you so. Never say, but let's see what I mean? No, I wouldn't do that. But I would say, I wish you'd listen. I wish you would understand, because the more people that stop, take a second, just take it in, listen to our story. It doesn't have to be the long details. It can be short and sweet. The better chance we have. The better chance we have that your kids will never hear those words. The better chance we have that you will never hear those words. You'll never have to worry about a bruise and a bloody nose or some weird rash. You'll never have to worry about it. You'll just have to do what you have to do as a mom or a dad. Take your child, take care of them, give them medicine, go to the doctor, everything's good, okay? But statistical reality says that at any point, it could be any child, anytime, because we simply do not know enough about why. And that's why I mentioned earlier about the gene that creates red hair and the question that I had asked on Facebook, because that's me being a critical thinker and trying to find any reason or any answer as to why. Because when JC was diagnosed, when she was going through treatment, when she passed, there's never been a definitive answer as to why it happened, okay? There's never been a definitive answer as to why. Was she born with this? Was it something that happened based on nutrition or location, environment? Was it something located in her school that caused it? Was it something in her house? Was it pesticides? Whatever. Listen, there's a million different questions, but we've never been given a definitive answer. So that's me being a critical thinker and trying to figure it out, because I still don't know. And it's always going to haunt me. And we probably will never know why it happened. But the more people that are out there listening, the more people that stop at your booth, the more people that stop and ask questions, the more that ask the whys, the hows, the how can we help, the how did this happen, why did it happen, what were the symptoms, what should I look out for, tell me more about your story, or I have a similar story. The more that happens, that conversation continues to grow, and then we actually see real change happen. We had 2 really good interactions yesterday. I break those down over a 6-hour period. We had 2 really, really good ones. One was a grandmother and a mom that had so the granddaughter was with them. She had B-cell ALL, and she was getting her final treatment, or I believe the final treatment was either the day or the week before our gala. And they had heard about us, and they came to the booth and stuff like that, and they wanted to meet us. And they were able to meet us and hear what we do, and we were able to connect with them and talk to them and have a good conversation. And they talked to, my wife for a while, and that was really cool, because that means that we're reaching people. It also means that, yes, our community is growing by sense of more diagnosis, but the more that we come together and have those resources of just togetherness and resources of community, the better off we're going to be. We had another interaction with a mom, or it was actually a sister, and her brother had neuroblastoma as a kid, and he was actually treated at the same hospital as JC, was treated by not the same doctor, but had the same child life specialist that we had. And it was like that small world connection that we had, which was really cool. It's sad because that means we're connecting under those circumstances, but it's awesome because that means that our community the resources are coming together and they're being used, and they're getting better, which means people don't have to feel alone when a diagnosis like that comes, or when treatment happens. They don't have to feel like they're on an island. But like I said in the very beginning, I've been struggling a lot trying to figure out if our purpose is working, if we're making enough of an impact, if we're connecting with enough people, if we are doing justice for JC's legacy and giving her everything that she deserves, and doing everything in this community that we can to honor her and honor every single other warrior diagnosed and every single warrior that has passed. We want to make sure that we're doing that. And unfortunately, to me, almost in my brain every single day, I feel like we're not doing enough. I feel like we're not hitting those marks. We're not getting the reach that we need to get. We're not bringing in, the big donors. We're not bringing in legislation. You don't have people knocking on your doors to want to write something that is going to help bring research to whatever state you're in, or county you're in, or city you're in, or children's hospital. They want to, that's not happening. And I can tie that into yesterday, watching those people stand in front of us. And as they stand there, in my mind, I look at it and say, I'm right. We're not doing enough. We're not hitting our marks. We're not doing justice to her legacy. We're not getting the traction that we need in order to ensure that this doesn't continue to happen, that there's more parents that are in our shoes, that have watched their child go through the worst thing ever and win their battle. But that battle being won means that you lose your child. And that's how I feel. I've said it probably 100 times within this podcast and other podcasts, that I will always, as a father, feel like a failure, feel like I failed JC, like I failed getting her the treatment she deserved, or failed getting her everything she needed to ensure she was going to have an opportunity at a future. Now, I know deep inside that we did everything possible for her, everything we could do. There's no other rock that we could have turned over in order to make it different, to make a different outcome. There's just nothing. We couldn't have done anything else that was going to make it better. And I know that. I know that in my heart. But there's still a part of me that always feels like I've done something wrong, like I've failed, like I haven't reached that milestone. And when I see people that are standing in front of you and ignoring you, or doing everything they can to avoid eye contact, or avoid just a simple listen, just a simple, hi, how are you doing? Then that's where I feel that the most. Now, I will say that I told my wife that of the entire day, having an interaction with the mom and the grandma and the daughter that was going through leukemia and was about to finish her treatment in August, that interaction made the day worth it, in my opinion. All 6 hours, that made the day worth it. It didn't matter any money that we made. It didn't matter any of that. That interaction made it worth it, because it meant that, we were reaching people to the point where they could feel what we were doing. But it it's just, there's so much sour energy when it comes to watching people continue to turn you off and turn off the TV, turn off the radio, turn off the internet, just scroll past. Don't take a minute to listen to anything. Everybody right now will take a minute and they will post their thoughts and views on politics and on social justice things and anything going on in the world today with influencers or YouTubers or politicians or celebrities. And you'll put those words out there because you're taking probably 5 seconds to read the first 2 words of a headline, get pissed off or happy, and write a full statement within the comment section. But why not take a minute, 60 seconds? Do you realize that most social media videos, Reels, TikToks, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, all that stuff, shorts on YouTube, most of them are 60 seconds. 60 seconds, that's it. That's all we're asking for on any given base and any given day is you take 60 seconds, watch the whole video, listen to what we're talking about, and then decide whether or not you're going to follow us or whether you're going to ignore us. But when you see something instantly that you have no interest in, and listen, I'm guilty of it too. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that every single video that comes across TikTok or Facebook or Instagram that I watch it. But I will tell you that I'm trying to be more cognizant of that when I'm asking you to do the same thing, to take that 60 seconds and actually make a choice to watch what we're doing, make a choice to watch and listen. Sorry, allergies. So that's really where I wanted to go today, because if you can't take 60 seconds to watch a video, or you can't take 60 seconds to stand next to a booth at a farmer's market and just hear what they have to say. Hell, you're waiting 10 minutes to get your kid's face painted. You can at least stop and say hi. Tell me what your booth is. Because I will say this, last year we were at the farmer's market and people would come up to the booth. We were in a different location, but people would come up to the booth and they would ask, tell us, what is your organization? Like, what exactly do you do? And you would tell them and you would get more interaction. This year, it just seemed like it wasn't fun, so we didn't want to stop and see. And I get it, okay? You got a face painter here. We had another 2 booths down. There was princesses there. There was a princess party organization was there. And you had the Pride tent. There was a couple down. I mean, there was all these different groups. There was yoga going on behind us on the steps. All these different things that were happening around us. We're probably not the most fun or the most exciting thing to talk about or to hear about, but we didn't ask to be there. We didn't ask to be in this position. We didn't ask to be advocates for this. We didn't ask to be the voice, but here we are. So my message, whenever I do a podcast, I always ask my guests to give their best advice to everybody else out there. And it can be any walk of life, whether it's just diagnosed, newly, or getting into treatment, maintenance phase, all of this. So I'm going to give you advice. Take 60 seconds. Listen to the whole video. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. Take a minute. Listen to the whole video. Listen to the whole reel. Take in the information and then decide whether or not you're going to support it or not. And after that 60 seconds, if you decide you're going to support or you're interested in learning more, or maybe not right at that moment, but you're interested enough that you watched the whole 60 seconds, hit that follow button. And I'm not just talking about me. I'm not just talking about our social media, which I would love all of you to just follow it. Of course, I'm talking about just in general. If you see something that interests you enough to hang around for 60 seconds, hit the follow button. It'll show you, the algorithm is going to show you more and more of those videos as you go by. And one of these days, something's going to pop up within that topic that you've chosen, and you're going to be able to learn more and more about it. And at some point, maybe you lose interest. You hit unfollow. It's that easy. But take a breath, stop scrolling, take it all in, the full 60 seconds, the full minute, give it a chance. Give it a chance and allow us as a community to be able to come into your home, to come into your headphones. Allow us to share with you why it is so important that we talk about this, why it is so important that this is not a taboo topic, that this doesn't get treated as the podcast itself is infectious in a bad way. That you're going to catch something because you're talking about it or because you've listened to it or because you're supporting the community in one way or another. Take a minute and just listen. And if you're if you're at a farmer's market, if you're at an event, because more and more organizations like ours around the country are reaching out to these vendors and events, whether they're car shows or air shows or pyrotechnic shows or whatever the case may have you, and they are reaching out to them and they're asking them to have their booths set up at their event. You don't have to be selling anything. You don't have to be soliciting to anybody, but you're just there. And people see it, they walk by, maybe they'll talk to you. So we're going to continue to pop up all over the place where you don't think we're going to be. Okay, you're going to go to a car show and you're going to see 76 tents where they're making shirts or they're making cups or they're laser engraving stuff of at some point, which I'll get better at. Maybe I'll start doing. But you're going to see all of that. You're going to see vendors and you're going to see food and you're going to see, handmade items, and you're going to see all this stuff that's related to the event. And then you're going to see that one tent, and you're going to see that tent with a unicorn or with a butterfly or with, a gold ribbon or whatever. And you're going to wonder, what the hell is that? Don't walk by that tent. Stop, take a minute, ask questions. If it doesn't interest you, just walk away. But more and more people are just walking by the tent. And because you're just walking by or because you're just scrolling past the video, you're not giving us the opportunity to truly tell you the real and raw story about pediatric cancer. And that real and raw truth is that it could be your child, at any day, at any moment. And it's not trying to be, create fear. That's a statistical reality that is part of what we're living with right now. And what we've lived through for the past 6 years, almost 7, is that moment when the diagnosis came down, that moment when we were told your child has brain cancer and the prognosis is not good, we were broken. We didn't know what to do. And to me, I wish at some point, maybe I wouldn't have changed the channel. I wish I wouldn't have scrolled past those videos. I wish I wouldn't have walked by the booth, because maybe I would have had a better understanding or been better prepared, and maybe there would have been a different outcome. So I appreciate you all sticking with me. Sorry, this is a little bit more of a somber episode. Like I said, it's been a struggle lately, but I know that we're going to get through it. Next couple of weeks, I've got a really good episode. I've got 2 episodes coming up after this one that are going to be really good. I've got a guest coming up that's going to tell us about their organization, tell us about their family and their child and their pediatric cancer story. So stick with me. And again, if anybody would like to share their story on the childhood cancer perspective, you can reach out to me at ccperspectivepod@gmail.com or find us on any of our socials, message me, and we'll talk. Thank you guys, and we will see you in the next one.